Aryna Sabalenka's tribute to Rafael Nadal was meant to be a moment of reverence, a champion honoring a legend who shaped her understanding of resilience and greatness. Fresh off a triumphant victory, she dedicated her success to Nadal, a gesture that initially drew praise for its humility and respect. But in the age of social media, admiration quickly morphed into controversy. Fans dissected her words, questioned her intent, and turned a heartfelt tribute into a storm of speculation. Just as the tennis world fixated on Sabalenka's legacy, an unexpected force emerged. Alex Eala, a composed and fearless teenager from the Philippines, began dismantling elite opponents with a calm brilliance that demanded attention. While debates raged online about respect, rivalry, and hidden meanings, Eala chose silence, letting her racket do the talking. Each win shifted the spotlight further, transforming the narrative from controversy to inevitability. What began as a discussion about honoring the past evolved into a defining moment for the future. Sabalenka represented experience, legacy, and the weight of history. Eala embodied fearlessness, discipline, and the promise of what's next. In the end, the noise faded, and one truth stood firm. Controversy may capture headlines, but talent, composure, and performance endure. Alex Eala didn't argue, explain, or react. She simply won. And in doing so, she reminded the tennis world that the loudest statements are made not with words, but with greatness under pressure. And as the dust settled, the tennis world began to see the moment for what it truly was. This wasn't a clash fueled by ego or disrespect, but a turning point where generations briefly collided under the brightest spotlight. Sabalenka, carrying the weight of expectation and experience, stood as a reminder of what it takes to stay at the top year after year. Her words, once magnified into controversy, reflected the perspective of a champion who had fought through pressure, scrutiny, and relentless competition. Alex Eala, on the other hand, represented something rare and electrifying, a future arriving sooner than anyone expected. With every match, she proved that her rise wasn't a coincidence or a temporary spark, but the result of relentless work, discipline, and belief. The conversations slowly shifted from criticism to admiration, from doubt to acknowledgement. Analysts began asking a different question, not whether Eala belonged on the stage, but how high her ceiling truly was. Fans across the globe watched in awe as a young player from the Philippines rewrote expectations, carrying not just her own dreams, but the hopes of an entire generation. In that moment, tennis revealed one of its greatest truths. Legends don't lose their place when new stars rise. They create the standard that the next generation dares to chase. And as Alex Eala continued her ascent, one thing became undeniable. The future wasn't waiting its turn. It had already arrived, calm, fearless, and ready to define the next era of the game. With every tournament that followed, the contrast became even sharper. Sabalenka continued to dominate with the authority of a proven champion, carrying the expectations that come with history, rankings, and legacy. Every move she made was analyzed, every word weighed. Meanwhile, Alex Eala moved differently through the storm. There was no bravado, no provocation, no need to chase headlines. Her calm demeanor became her armor. On court, she played with a clarity that cut through pressure, turning hostile environments into silent arenas of focus. Each victory felt less like an upset and more like a declaration. The question was no longer whether she could compete at the highest level, but how soon she would redefine it. Crowds began arriving earlier for her matches, cameras lingered longer, commentators lowered their voices when she found her rhythm, as if witnessing something fragile yet unstoppable. Young fans saw themselves in her journey, proof that greatness was not limited by geography, age, or expectation. From practice courts to primetime broadcasts, her presence shifted energy wherever she played, and in that shift, the sport itself felt different, more open, more unpredictable, more alive. What made the moment even more powerful was the absence of hostility between the players. Despite the noise surrounding them, respect quietly endured. Sabalenka acknowledged the pressure that follows rapid success, recognizing the mental strength it takes to thrive when the world is watching. Eala, in turn, spoke with humility about the champions who paved the way, understanding that her rise stood on foundations built long before her arrival. Their parallel paths told a deeper story, one where legacy and ambition don't collide in destruction, but intersect in evolution. As the season unfolded, the tennis world realized it wasn't witnessing controversy, it was witnessing transition. The kind that only appears once in a generation. A moment when the present locks eyes with the future, and neither blinks. And in that silence between serves and returns, a message became clear. The sport doesn't choose between honoring legends and celebrating new stars. It grows because of both. And somewhere between Sabalenka's thunderous power and Alex Eala's fearless precision, a new chapter of tennis began writing itself, quietly, relentlessly, and in full view of the world. As the narrative deepened, the pressure intensified, not just on the players, but on the sport itself. Tennis had always been defined by eras, by names that dominated timelines and shaped identity, but moments like this refused to fit neatly into history books. Sabalanka stood firm as a symbol of the present, a player forged by expectation and sharpened by scrutiny. Every match she played was a reminder of what it costs to remain elite when challengers are lining up, fearless and hungry. She carried that burden with visible resolve, her game loud, physical, and unapologetic. Alex Eala, meanwhile, carried something different, not the weight of defending a throne, but the fire of building one. Each time she stepped on the court, there was a sense that she was playing beyond the moment, beyond rankings and headlines. Her shot selection spoke of maturity, her composure of preparation. She didn't rush points, didn't chase glory. She trusted her patterns, trusted her instincts, and trusted the work no one had seen. In doing so, she forced the tennis world to slow down and watch. The media continued searching for conflict, for sound bites, for division, but what they found instead was something harder to package: mutual respect. Sabalenka's intensity never turned personal, Eala's rise never turned defiant. The drama existed mostly in perception, fueled by fans desperate to choose sides in a story that didn't demand one. And slowly, that realization changed the tone. The outrage softened, the debates matured. What remained was appreciation. Because at its core, this was never about a tribute, a quote, or a viral moment. It was about timing, about what happens when one generation is still standing tall as another arrives sooner than expected. Tennis had seen this before, but it never lost its impact. Each time, it reshaped the sport's identity, reminding everyone why they fell in love with the game in the first place. By the end of the season, the story had evolved into something undeniable. Sabalenka remained a benchmark, the standard by which excellence was measured. Alex Eala became a signal, proof that the future was already competing, already winning, already unafraid. Together, without confrontation, they defined a moment of transition that would be remembered long after the noise faded. And that is how tennis moves forward, not by tearing down its champions, and not by silencing its newcomers, but by allowing greatness to challenge greatness. In that balance, the game survives. In that tension, it grows. And in moments like this, when power meets poise, legacy meets belief, tennis reminds the world that its greatest stories are written not in controversy, but in courage. And when the noise finally faded, one truth remained. Sabalenka didn't lose her place in history, she reinforced it. Alex Eala didn't ask for permission to arrive, she earned it. This wasn't a story about disrespect, rivalry, or controversy. It was a reminder of how greatness actually works. Legends light the path, but it's the fearless who walk it next. And on that court, under that pressure, with the world watching, Alex Eala didn't just announce her future, she claimed it. Because in tennis, applause fades, debate disappears, but performance is permanent.